there's not much to say when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals' second preseason game. There's an argument to be made that you worry about their depth now, and if this team can be a team that eventually, competes this year, and you can talk about their depth potentially being an issue. You could talk about a lot of different things with this team. I don't think necessarily on the surface of it is, wow, their depth is so bad that they can't be a playoff team. I do think potentially after that Broncos game, you're talking about the Cardinals' depth being a little suspect, maybe more suspect than we thought. However, they played a joint practice on Thursday. No one really won that thing. And on Saturday, the Cardinals really didn't play anyone. And outside of one series with Jacoby Brissett, they pulled him. So as much as I do want to overreact to the Cardinals' preseason loss to the Denver Broncos, I don't want to get too into the weeds about if this team has the depth. Maybe it was a little overstated, the Cardinals' depth, like I maybe thought it was, but I don't think that necessarily matters. The NFC is such a disastrous conference, but the Arizona Cardinals are a team that 100% will be able to make the playoffs this year, especially in this division. In this conference. I apologize to you guys. I keep looking over at my phone. I promise there's a reason for it, but my phone's blowing up this morning. So with that being the case, we're all good. However, looking at the conference and looking at the game, the Cardinals have more than enough depth. So I don't really want to necessarily get into that. What is really interesting to me is the fact that Jonathan Gannon waved the white flag after 2 series in that game. And so ultimately, with that being the case, the Arizona Cardinals lost that game, and Jonathan Gannon decided to lose it early by throwing Clayton Tune into the mix. And Clayton Tune is a disastrous quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he is absolutely pitiful. There is no way you can continue to trot Clayton Tune out at this point into the Arizona Cardinals campaign into the 2025 season. He's got to be done. It's a failed experiment. I don't know what Monty Austin-Fort saw to this guy to Houston. But what was kind of frustrating is Jonathan Gannon not giving the rest of the guys on the offense, and even the defense a little bit, a chance to show their stuff, which tells me the 53-man roster is already set. Throwing Clayton Tune out there showed me the 52-man roster. Jonathan Gannon throwing Clayton Tune out there after the second series in that game was a clear sign that the 53-man roster is basically set. Because not giving guys a chance out there to show what they have, it's not a great sign that Jonathan Gannon did that. I don't think it's a great thing to show in the locker room that you're not even going to give guys a chance. But that's what that tells me. Clayton Tune playing in that game for as long as he did tells me the 53-man roster is set. They don't need to see anything else from anyone, and they don't want anyone getting hurt. They want to be fully healthy going into the season. And so, with that being the case, if JG feels that way, I get it. But I do have to worry about the optics of it and what it looks like for the team that feels like they're just trying to get a spot this year on the roster. And not even giving them a chance feels like just a little bit that you're kind of stabbing those guys in the back a little bit and saying that their work isn't really appreciated. Because on a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2021 and hasn't won a division in a decade, you should be taking all the time you have. But I could be wrong there, and I'm willing to be wrong there. I just didn't love the optics of it, is all. And so with JG playing Clayton Tune as long as he did, it tells me right now that their roster is absolutely set. And I don't know if I'll call it a true mistake, Aaron, who's saying that in the chat. I just didn't love it. I don't want to make it more out than what it is. It's a preseason game. If in week 1 they come out sluggish, we can point to it. but we just don't know yet. And, pointing the finger at Drew Petzing, it just feels like that's low-hanging fruit. The quarterback, Clayton Tune, is atrocious, and there's nothing anyone can do. Kyle Shanahan himself, Bill Walsh could do to make him look good. So, yeah, it was just a little strange. However, that kind of concludes that part. I just didn't think there was much to take out of that Cardinals game, which is a little frustrating. JG, don't waste my time. I don't want to watch the game on Saturday, but I have to because I got to do a show on it. Trey Hendrickson, the Cincinnati Bengals are now fielding calls on Trey Hendrickson. Should the Arizona Cardinals be a team in on him? Here's what's so good about the Trey Hendrickson situation now for the Arizona Cardinals. They should absolutely go after Trey Hendrickson, but they don't have to go after him anymore. This is not a dire situation like it was a few weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. And the Cincinnati Bengals have played this so poorly to where they're going to get less than you once thought for Trey Hendrickson, not more. Because teams at this point in the season can't give him the contract that he wants. And teams at this point don't have the same amount of assets that they did earlier in the year. And they're not willing to give up more. So if the Cardinals can get Trey Hendrickson for less than we thought before, and maybe adding in a Jalen Thompson into the mix, they should absolutely go get Trey Hendrickson. Because as I've mentioned before, this is the year where I believe the Arizona Cardinals can make a massive splash in the postseason. Matthew Stafford's injury reeks of the Christian McCaffrey injury of last year, meaning it feels like they're just sweeping it under the rug and saying, nothing to see here. If that's the case and it's a real injury, I believe the Arizona Cardinals can win the division this year. And then they'll have a home playoff game. And with the NFC being as bad as it is, one tweaked ankle could send this team into the Super Bowl, I believe. So the reasoning why I would go after Trey Hendrickson is because I believe you don't actually know when your window is to compete. You like to think you know, but you don't know. The Commanders and the Lions, both teams just went to the conference championship. The Cardinals could be that team this year. So one of the reasons why I would want them to load up and go get Trey Hendrickson is because I believe it's better to be safe than sorry. And later on in the year, when you're playing in a massive playoff game and you're not generating pressure, you're going to wish you went after and got Trey Hendrickson. However, I just don't think it's as dire of a position anymore. The Bengals have played this all wrong. As much as I like what the Arizona Cardinals did in the offseason, I was still fairly skeptical, and I thought they needed that blue chip pass rusher. However, I just feel really good about what the Arizona Cardinals have at the defensive line and outside linebacker position. I feel good about the Cardinals' front seven as a whole, way more than I did 2 months ago when I was dying for Trey Hendrickson to be here. So the Arizona Cardinals should go after Trey Hendrickson. And it looks like it will likely cost them less than ever before. It's still going to cost you assets, but less than we thought before. I don't think it's as dire of a position. The Cardinals should, but they don't absolutely need to go get him. I just feel a lot more better about it than I did in years past and over the past couple of months. And that is a fantastic place for the Cardinals to be. Going after players because you desperately need them is never a great place to be. But selectively bringing in blue chip players at opportune times, knowing that they are not asked to save the position, is a really great place to be. Because you're not hanging on every word the Bengals say. You're not praying that they eventually cave into your demands. You feel good about what the Cardinals have. And so, if the Cardinals get Trey Hendrickson, awesome. I'd be more than ecstatic to have him here in Arizona. However, they don't have to do it anymore. Over the past couple of months, weeks, and preseason games, I feel really good about this defensive line. I think they're going to generate a ton of pressure, and now I feel like those assets would be better allocated to a different position. unless someone like Micah Parsons became available, because that's a young blue chip player. Trey Hendrickson is in his early 30s. You maybe don't want to just go after him because he could fall off a cliff even this season. So the Cardinals should go after Trey Hendrickson, but they don't have to. And that's a great place to be. If the Bengals want to give in to your demands and want to take less on Trey Hendrickson than they originally would have in the beginning had they just traded him, then, then you do it. But you look at this position now, and you just feel a lot better about what the Arizona Cardinals have been doing. This is a team that I believe that has massively improved at the defensive line front. Even at the edge rusher position, guys, I really like Jordan Birch. And I like, what Baron Browning did last year. So yes, I want Trey Hendrickson here. I hope the Cardinals go after Trey Hendrickson. But if they don't go after him, it is not a spot where they are in dire need of it. And just so we're clear, I would go after him. And I believe the Arizona Cardinals don't have many opportunities to go get blue chip guys in what I believe is their Super Bowl window or playoff threat window. So they should absolutely go do it. But if they don't win the Trey Hendrickson sweepstakes, it is absolutely okay because they are more than equipped at that position to be really good at it this year. And add Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawlis into the mix, scheming up things, it is a great place for the Cardinals to be. And with or without Trey Hendrickson, they'll be fine.